Good afternoon, everyone. Sean here from Q Autos again, and while we're here we're recording this podcast as part of our videos that we want to share it on our social media. We're very kindly joined by three other passionate mechanics and business owners, Keith, Lenihan, Larr, Poole and JP Darcy. And one of the subjects that the four of us also feel passionate about, not just about our work, is the subject of mental health. And I think it's something that unless we talk about it, because look, in Ireland there's always been a stigma around mental health, especially for men. We don't talk about it. We bury our problems. We'll be fine, we'll be grand, leave it with me, I'll sort it out. All the usual BS you get with it. And I think it wouldn't be fair to not use this opportunity to have a quick chat about what we've experienced in our own lives, because only through chatting, and I find this, that when we go to meetings, whether we go to a course at Andy Sava, whether we go to a car show, whether we go to the show's going to be on next weekend in Dublin, and one of the things I really love chatting about, and what from doing my own live videos has brought to me, is men opening up to each other and talking about their problems. And I know I'm going to quickly talk about her own situation here at McEwen Auto Services, and that happened this year. My own wife, Debbie, she actually experienced burnout at the end of last year. This is her 10th year in this business, and it's her 10th year Debbie has been working with me. And she did experience burnout back at Christmas, and we didn't realise at the time, and she continued to work because she is very passionate about this place and this business, because we realise that it's this business, McEwen Auto Services, is what supports our family. So while it's like a third child to us, apparently I'm the third child, but while it's like a child to us, it is what brings in the work. And sometimes it just does push you over the edge a wee bit. We've had to make a lot of changes recently because I could feel myself back in the summer there. And people probably start seeing it coming through in the videos. And I was conscious of that because I know there's a presenter on today, I know Ray Darcy. He quite publicly talked about depression and stuff like that. It comes across in people when you're doing videos and things like that. And people will probably say that I haven't been putting out as much videos as I did at the start of the year. And part of that problem is Debbie was off here for 5 or 6 months during the year, and we were very lucky that we had our sister Larr in the office helping out. There's just a lot going on behind people's doors that people don't realise, and I've no doubt between the four of us that it's visited everyone's door in some shape or form. So I'd like to quickly talk about, Keith, I'll come to you first. Have you any experiences with, and I'm not saying mental health issues, but even, burnout, exhaustion, anxiety actually, and I didn't even know what the word anxiety meant until about 3 years ago. Anxiety, stuff like that. Have you any experience to it, and what do you find attributes, what pours petrol on the fire, if you want?
Great question. I suppose, I'm sure we've all suffered from a bit of depression at some point. I've had lots of highs and lows over the last 10 years. One part of me would say that the business obviously kept it going, but because you had to get up, you had to drive it on. The customers don't stop coming. Yeah. And whilst that's a positive, obviously, to keep you going, it doesn't give you a let off. Sometimes you might need. There's days where I didn't want to get out of bed a few years ago, right, for various different reasons, but I had to.
But do you find?
I hadn't ring in sick.
You got to ring.
You know what I mean?
Look in the mirror. Do you find the monster? Because let's face it, the reason the four of us are sitting together here because we're four business owners. We're passionate about what we do. I'm not blowing my head or my trumpet when I say the four of us have been successful in what we're doing. But do you find that
the monster can very much overtake you?
Does the monster that forces you to get out of bed in the morning? Is that the same monster that makes you want to not get out of bed?
Yeah, because I've often been in the garage Christmas Day. I'm no kids, so Christmas Day is not kind of much of an impact for me. But I've been in the garage Christmas Day, and the phone is ringing. I'm like,
is it Santa Claus?
Yeah, I wish it was. Get down here and that sleigh and start giving a few presents out. Yeah. But no, I wish it was, but it's not. You're saying to who in God's name rings your garage on Christmas Day? Yeah. And you're there and you're whatever you're doing, you're tidying around or you're tricking around with something. And very soon you'll realise, hold on, I'm in a job on Christmas Day. We're not, unfortunately, we're not in the blue light services. We're not, in the blue lights. We're not in emergency services. So there's no real reason to be there. But as the monster does overtake and you start becoming a shadow of what you are, because you're losing yourself to being there for business. I got pneumonia 5 times in 5 years. Went to work with pneumonia. Went to work with swine flu, coughing. 1 year I ended up from coughing from the second week of January to the last week in April.
But you still had to come into work that day
and
put on the show.
And put on the show. 3 other staff members were out sick for a month.
But the rent still has to be paid.
The rent still has to be paid. Yeah. And especially that stuff, that puts untold damage physically in your body, but then also the mental exhaustion that kicks in. I haven't, that's a few years back now, but recently I haven't been sick in about 6 years. But there about a month ago, I got badly sick. Face was breaking out in cold sores. I was generally going down. I was bad. And they had to say, you need a break. You need to stop this. You need to relax, let yourself wind down. And most of us didn't stop in COVID. Most of us didn't stop in COVID.
Yeah, we had to keep going.
We almost rammed her up in COVID. Nearly, trying to kind of way. We started doing more hours in COVID because there was less business. So you're trying to maximise what business came in. We all had that little mega stint where you couldn't go in, but then that was very quickly gone. And
can I just touch on that? That 6 weeks, I think we were closed for about 4 or 5 weeks of that COVID. And it was a fair playing field because everywhere was closed. So if you had a problem with your car, you had to wait.
4 days off.
All right. Well, maybe it was different over here.
ambulance.
We got 3 or 4. It was about 4 weeks we got out, and I'm not joking, lads. I take them 4 weeks every year. It was the best 4 weeks I've ever had because I had no phones. It was brilliant. I had no phones, and it was just literally. And for most part of it, I was on my own because it was COVID. You couldn't go anywhere, but it was just beautiful.
Do you know what COVID reminded me of, right? And it was lovely. And my dad talked about it as well. COVID reminded me when we were off of being a child, because we were great because I live out in the country, so it wasn't as if we were stuck in the house. So we were driving around fields. We were doing work around the house. We were blessed in the sense that we weren't stuck with home with mental health and COVID. Thank God I wasn't stuck in the house. I was able to get out and about and things like that. But it just reminded me because there was not the lockdown bit, but the zero stress.
Yeah.
It was
just beautiful.
I could do it one of them every year.
Yeah, I take it every year.
But you need to know your kind of triggers and stuff too. So when it comes to burnout, I've only experienced it once, and I'm going to say it was full on burnout. And I spoke to you about this when you were down, and it's the most debilitating thing. It stops you functioning. Like a job that I know I can do. I've told you about this story. And a job I know I can do in about 30 minutes. When I was so burnt out and I was full of self-doubt and I was questioning myself when I was doing it, and 3 hours later and I'm still looking at the same thing. This was really when I was at rock bottom, and the phone would ring, and when the phone ring, I would have a physical twitch because it was another problem, and it was another person you had to listen to while you're trying to fix the problem. And at one point, for me anyway, it all got too much. And I remember one Friday afternoon, I rang Shakira. I said, "Will you just come and get me?" Shut the door, closed the gates. I cancelled all the jobs. On that day, I couldn't do that afternoon. And I cancelled the work the following Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, closed the garage. And I had to do a reset. And it forced me into, like you were saying, the physical symptoms make you sick, and then you know you got to do something. And this now, when I feel that coming on me, that pressure or that bit of a twitch with the phone, then I know, right, I need to take a day or two. And I'll be good again after that. And that forced me into getting a bit of work-life balance and looking at the garage thinking, I'm working 6 days a week. I'm not seeing my kids. When I do see them, I'm wrecked. Or I have to have a drink on the way home because I'm up to there. And then what are you doing? And then what are you doing it all for? And so it took that bit of a really low, difficult period to go, this is not what it's all about. And we either need to bin it and get a regular 9-to-5 job or find a way of making this sustainable. And for us, it was a 4-day week. I no longer work on Fridays. I work big hours Monday to Thursday. But I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to do home, life, real stuff. And then I make Monday to Thursday my block. And that's what works for me. And even within that, at times, it can get a bit much. And you need to know your triggers and know when you're struggling a bit. and just say, listen, I need a day or I need a week or whatever you need.
There's one thing that I found is, and I heard Ray Foley on Today FM. This is TFM he's on, isn't it? I think so. He had mentioned at the start of the year, and again, it wasn't even on my radar, was the ADHD thing. Never passed any marks. So me and Larr spoke about it, spoke to you about it as well. We brushed off. Yeah, me and I think we've.
I'm undiagnosed, but I definitely have.
Well, myself and Keith are convinced after our last 3-hour chat.
You diagnose each other.
We did, with 2 doctors, yeah. But I think we were definitely separated about it. But what I found when Debbie was at her lowest, I would never turn around. I'd be one of these people. I'd never turn around. I just know it's definitely it's all on her. And I turn and say, "Did I cause that?" You know, again, it's a symptom of us. You question yourself. I said, "Did I cause that?" And at the time, the bloody phone. Every time you looked at Instagram or you looked at Facebook or anything like that, there was all these ads coming up. Take the test. The fucking things are listening the whole time. Right? The phone knew about it before I knew about it. You know what I mean? And I looked into it. I told her, I said, you know what? I'm just going to look into that. I'm going to let you know we're helping Debbie and her thing. I'm going to look at myself because I don't believe for a minute that how bad she was all caused by here. So I want to make sure that I'm being the best husband I can be. So I looked into that and I looked into it. Next thing all of a sudden, as you say, when you look at the thing and you're like, oh man, that's a dead ringer. That's me. That's it, the whole lot. I did look at getting a proper diagnosis, but the reason I didn't go ahead with that is because all they seem to want to do is fill you up with tablets at the end of it.
No, it's not.
So
like
I'm not.
that, yeah.
So for me, it's more of a case of studying the thing,
Understanding it.
and to see and I'll say this, and Debbie will agree with you. See our relationship since I've actually looked into this and shared it and spoke as a couple with it. The turnaround that she realises that, you'll see the things on film and how many times you have to ask a man to do something before he'll actually do it. And we spoke to that. You said, you got to write it down. If they don't write it down on the whiteboard, it's not going to happen.
I have that on my missus. Just give me a list. If we don't have a list, it's just not done.
Because as soon as you walk out the door,
The
you forgot
marriage
about it.
counsellor said to him, get a little blackboard, put it on every door in every room. And even if Debbie wants you in that room, get to write it down there. So every time you go into it, it'll remember you.
I forget the room.
He's sitting in the hall.
Because as we do,
I'm not going in there. There's a board.
we end up putting it to the back of our head. I'll put it on the fridge, on the blackboard in the fridge, Sean, bins or whatever it is. And then that way, she doesn't feel like she's constantly saying it to you. You don't feel like she's constantly haggling this. You can see that needs to be done. So you end up doing it because...
But that's what it was like before we actually just talked about the thing. It was like, you feel, and every man, every husband and wife's the same. You think they're at you. They're looking at you going, he's useless. He never presented at all. But the reality is, now and again, I'm only talking about it for people that have what we have. And
but that does add to the stress of going to work as well.
It does, and
when it's not happy at home, it starts snowballing into work.
And it does feed into your work. And even I came in here and spoke to Evan about it. It's Evan's a mechanic here, and he just looked at me as if to say, it just makes so much sense. Like I'll walk in and I'll switch the radio off. He might have music on and I'll switch it off because if I'm concentrating on something and this thing's on, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of it now, but it even made me strengthen my relationship with my staff, that they understand. Because and so all of a sudden you realise that, do you want me to say, I would expect someone, look, I'm paying you X amount, come in, do your job and go home. That's all I want. But what I've learned is, it's more than that. You can't just, where you think, why did he not stay? Why you say it's probably because you're expecting 40 hours a week out of him. But, what was the problem there? And in hindsight, when you look back, I was the problem.
Yeah, but you see it, and you can get into a knot. Like the work-life balance thing, I've changed a lot in the garage there in the last 6 months, whereby I've reduced staff numbers, where loads of lads are looking to increase. I've actually went the opposite, and I've reduced. We had a baby in January, right? So I've reduced staff. We've obviously started the half-day thing on a Friday last week. And it's all just trying to basically get a better work-life balance. And it's not when you all know it, you can't just come in on a Friday and go, I'm going to have a better work-life balance today. Do you know, it takes time to do it. But what I find now is when I'm back on the desk, having the landline diverted to my mobile again now, it's just chaotic. So you have a customer in front of you, this thing's ringing 4 times, you have mechanics coming at you, you know, you mightn't have done the missus' list the night before, and it's all just, like, and as you said, like, literally, there's only so much of you can take, and the lid blows off. You know, and you can, anyone that knows me knows, you know, weekends, if not more, I love a drink. And I actually stopped going home and having a drink because of, you're going home, but you just keep going because it did, I'm not going to lie, it shuts it out.
Yeah.
You know, no, I didn't have to, thankfully I could just, right, I'm not doing that anymore, and that's the end of it. But it drives lads to that. And I think I've no shame in saying it to the world.
No,
that,
that's
you
why
know,
this is a good topic.
Yeah. You know,
every Friday evening. But do you know what? You know what annoyed me, right? And we're going home the other night. So every Friday evening we come home, and myself and the Weefla, we go for a tea, and I have a couple of pints for that. And it became a bit of a thing and it was only because I felt come Friday night that I was whatever Fridays did to me, it wound me up that much like a spring. That come Friday evening, if I didn't know I was going to go to a pub and have a couple of pints and a steak or something decent, just don't come near me.
Yeah, I'd be looking for it.
No, don't come near me Saturday or Sunday, right? As well. So there is a release. I'm not advocating alcohol at all.
No, nor am I. And as I said, I've stopped it since the baby came. I just now that's it. But it's just too easy, and it makes it go away.
But that shows that that's your trigger to know that you need to do something in the other part of the week. Yeah.
Well, wait till I tell you what it is. So I was used to that was grand. So next thing, and then sometimes then we get a lift home, and I'd be like, wheel round to the shop there, and I get the wee fella, you get a pack of sweets or a box of popcorn or something, let's go home and watch a movie. And I grab a bottle of wine. This after having 2 or 3 pints, do you know what I mean? The machines tell me I'm lying, it's 4 or 5 pints, right? It's like David Beckham, tell the truth. So that's, and then you come home, but the wee fella says to me the other night, and we turn around, and so firstly, I had said to myself, we spoke to Debbie, because Debbie hates drink. She just doesn't like drinking. And look, and I'd be the first man to say, I am not the same person when I drink me. I know, and I'm aware of that. But at the same time, I felt it was the only release I had. So what I did was we identified it. The problem was every Friday evening. Every Friday evening, I said, how am I going to stop this? I'm going to stop work at lunchtime on a Friday. I'm not going to wait till 6 o'clock to go home. And we did that. We looked at the hours. I've put them up on this. I've me calendar. I've a lot of stuff we've already shared this with our customers. And I said, I'm going to finish. I'm not going to let it happen. And then everyone said, yeah, you're going to finish 2 o'clock. You're going to be stuck in the yards till 4. Like you yesterday, you're stuck there till 5 o'clock. No. We'll say, right, so Friday afternoon's Debbie's time to do whatever the hell she wants. I'm collecting the kids. So I have to leave here 2 o'clock, collect the wee fella, and then I have to go collect the wee lassie then after that. Yeah. So I have no choice but to get out of here. It doesn't matter who's standing at the door. I have to go. That's it. Kids come first. I have to go get them.
When you do make them limitations and that structure, you have to absolutely religiously stick to it. And I don't care if a car blows up in the garage on a Friday. I'll be somewhere else.
Yeah, but you need. I'm
to set the systems up so you can't be there. Like
I'm one of these people that need something set up to stop you. Yeah. So that was all right. So I was home yesterday, and you wouldn't believe like the triggers. That trigger's gone now. Like that, it's gone. I'm not wound up on a Friday evening anymore. And this is why I've been saying on my social media, the work-life balance, lads, it's great. And I'm not just saying it. I actually turn around. When you can go home on a Friday evening, you don't feel like you need to go for 4 or 5 pints for the machine, throw something else at me here. There's definitely something to be said for that. But what really got me yesterday evening, so coming out the road, the Weefle, and he turns around, we're driving out the road anyhow. So we're just doing different things and all this. We were gathering up, we're chatting about, I was talking about what we're doing today and the whole lot. Coming out to catch on the road and dog, not road, we normally go home and drove past the shop. Oh, Dad, you're not going in for a bottle of wine? That was my 7-year-old. Yeah. Are you not going in for a bottle of wine, Dad? Yeah, I mean, I was like, all of a sudden I says to me, hang on a minute. All I'm doing is teaching him. Yeah. By me trying to calm myself down from the monster that this monster's created inside me, for me trying to calm myself down, all I've done is showed him that the normal thing to do is take a fucking bottle of wine the way home on a Friday night. And it's not. So when we talk about work-life balance, mental health, kids or no kids, I think we do have to sit down and say, one, what are we doing this for? Because a lot of time we forget, we all start this. I want to be the best mechanic in the world, and that's why we've all been there. And I want to be the best at what I do. This is why you go into business. But the problem is, if you are successful in what you do, next thing all of a sudden then it tends to get out of control a wee bit, and then sometimes and it can be harder to stop or rein or pull. I find it's harder to grab the reins of the monster and pull it back than his to go over a couple of points, if that makes sense. And I just think, and I think it's something that nobody talks about openly. But I will say again,
everyone. I've been training in the UK, in America, been to Australia, Asia. Everyone feels the exact same.
Yeah. But
everyone
it's only from talking.
Everyone feels the exact same that's in the industry. Yeah. That feels that same. Like, how can the guy who's 6,000 kilometers one way feel the exact same as me, and 6,000 kilometers going east feel the exact same way? We have nothing in common bar that we work in the same industry. It's an incredible.
To be fair, this is obviously for our viewers, and we want to keep it positive as well. Like it is probably look at a little bit negative. The motor trade is driving everyone into depression and it's madness. But it has a lot of positives as well. But it is one of those, like it sucks you in.
But the reason for sharing, Nicky, and I know you've had this before, I've had that I can think of 3 to 4 garage owners ring me with overwhelm. One of them described himself getting sick out the back of his garage with stress. And he was like, how do I manage this? He says, looking on Instagram, you'd swear that I had it under control. He said, how do you get it under control? He said, and I'm telling him I'm the same. Last week, my stomach was the same.
That makes it even worse, doesn't it?
It does.
This new pose that everything's all great.
Yeah.
This new pose, everything's all great. I've got
Insta life.
Yeah, it's not all great. There is peaks and there is troughs. Yeah. And
just talking about it.
And talking about it helps to realize that. As we started the conversation, bring everyone together, have to chat together. That affects us men, it affects us things. I'm 44 now. Definitely affects, testosterone drops off for certain ages, done a kind of way. And that kind of stress drives it quicker. Done a kind of way. And if it keeps going, if that happens at a younger age, it's going to affect things like, geopolitically on the road of, people having kids and all that's going to affect that. So we can get on top of it.
So let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Let's keep this conversation going. Having a bad week, whatever, know when to switch off. Yeah. Get the work-life balance in as best you can within the week.
And if we look at the table here, there's plenty of spaces for other people. And this is at this moment, this conversation is a bit male dominated, but there is space for women to come in, and women in the industry have a role to play and a vital role that shows that the industry is moving more towards an inclusive industry where there's a vital role for women to play in the industry.
Definitely.
Whatever it is, whatever the role may or may not be.
Yeah, so the message is, it's not don't be a mechanic, because everyone, I think it's more the fact that we're business owners. And a lot of people don't realise this, and we did say that we talk about advice on people going forward with mechanicking, and if they're going to go out on their own, probably going out on your own is the most daunting thing you can do. But what I would say to anyone that actually is going to go out on their own, I'm not going to go on about it now too much, but talk to someone, ring Keith, ring Larr, ring JP, ring me. But when I say ring them, organise time outside of work, because we're stressed enough in work. Sit down and have a chat, meet up for a coffee, and just actually what is the ins and outs, because a lot of people, when they find out all the accounts you have to do, is your VAT paid this month? Have we enough money coming in? Are we charging enough hours? I know, and anyone that watches my stuff online will see that I didn't come up with a spreadsheet. I just created a spreadsheet on Excel. You type in all your cost of business, you type in the amount of hours you charge out an average per week, and next thing you go,
how many lads? Roughly how many lads asked you for that?
Lots. I contacted you straight away. He rang. Straight away, I thought that was first bit. I think that was excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, and Keith's,
well, I had one.
Keith's a number cruncher.
I'd be quite good with numbers. Well, some days. But no, I had a friend of mine who was an accountant. When I first set up, and he done that a spreadsheet for me. So I've been working with that since day one. But I think what you've done in terms of emailing that spreadsheet out to other lads. Like, how many lads contacted you for that?
I sent out over 300 copies of that, definitely, right? To different mechanics.
Savage.
But how many of them got back to me?
Yeah.
And I know why. Because they all put the figures in, they shit themselves.
Yeah.
It's not because they didn't want to get back to me or they weren't grateful.
No,
it's because they put the figures in and they go,
It lit me up.
Yeah.
It lit me up.
This isn't unique to mechanics. If you had a table of plumbers here, like we all learned to fix cars, got good at fixing cars, got busy at fixing cars, and then
ended
went
up with
to
more
this,
cars than
and
we
it's-
could fix.
And it's the same in every trade. So none of us set out as business students. None of us set out to open a business. So first you can fix cars, and then after that we got to learn how to make the business of fixing cars pay. And nobody knows that from the outset.
And on that thing, that is one of the biggest factors that I find contributes to the pressure that brings on the monster, if you will, is the fact of the ignorance to education, that you think you know what you're at, but yet you haven't sat down and looked at your figures properly. And I'm going to say this out, a lot of accountants have a lot to answer for, because a lot of accountants shouldn't be just going, I'll do your papers, and what do you want them to say? Do you know, they shouldn't be doing that. They should be sitting you down and actually having this
But the illusion of
conversation.
accountant is that accountant works for you. Accountant works for revenue. Every accountant works for revenue to make sure that they get that money off you.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's good accountants, bad
they
accountants.
all work for revenue.
I'd be very happy with the
They
chap
all work
who's
for
doing
revenue.
my
They all-
accounts, right?
they all
So
work for revenue.
I wouldn't have.
Has your accountant ever said to you how to make £1 million?
No, but no. And he's not Willie. No, Willie. No,
Well, he's meant to be a financial fella.
Yeah, but he's not motor trade. He's an accountant. He's an accountant.
Yeah, but should tell you how to make £1 million. He doesn't give you advice how to do it. But he tell you what he does do. He tells you owe revenue this, and if you don't, you're going into the clink. Do you know what I'm kind of way? So, take me. Do you know
Lads,
what I'm saying?
But no, I think it's I do think that, as I said, what you've done with that spreadsheet, sending it out to people, was excellent. And again, I've had calls off lads, and look, I'm far from an expert. Every day is a school day for me. I'm 12 years doing it, and I'll probably be another 20 odd years doing it. And every day for the last 20 years, as long as I'm working, I learn something. Every day.
Excellent. So come here, I want to wrap this up now. JP, what advice would you give to anyone that you think is finding it tough, even though they mightn't realise they're finding it tough, but they're feeling the stress? What advice would you give them to look at?
I'm not going to say the line look for help, because I think that's said too much. But for me, I had to buy out time in the week that was for me, and that doesn't feel right as a man, because you work, bring in the money. But for me, I had to say, it turns out to me to be a Friday morning, I'm going to take 4 hours to myself, and if I learn to play golf, or if I go to the gym, or if I go for a walk, but bear in mind it has to be something healthy and something good for the brain. But I'm going to buy out 4 hours, and them 4 hours are precious, and I don't care if all the cars in the world crash in Little Island at the same time. The JP's 4 hours or his 4 hours, because you can't fill from an empty cup. If I'm burnt out, and if I can't give, nothing happens. So you first of all have to look after yourself, your mental health and your body, and if that's good, you can knock it out the park during the week. But you have to concentrate on yourself first. So for me, I picked up the phone to like a mindset kind of a coach, personal trainer, and he kind of guided me out of my burnout and gave me a bit of structure in the week to, like, this hour's for you, that hour's for you, that hour's for you. And it gave me the structure. That sorted me out. It might not everybody, but that sorted me out at the time, yeah.
Larr, any advice you give to someone that's just feeling a bit low?
Yeah, as I said to JP when he contacted me first, and a lad I know that worked for that, I said to him, be brave, but I also now say, be selfish. You got to be. It's your life. You got to be selfish. That you've got to put time back into you. You got to be selfish. No, listen, I'm putting time back into me. I deserve this. And don't be always kind of trying to eager to please everyone. It's great that when you get those wins, but you got to be selfish and put time into yourself. As JP says, whatever it is that helps you switch off. Well, it could be anything. It could be like watching a podcast. It could be, JP says, going, gym, canoe, whatever. Keith likes to build Christmas trees to the wind down. I like actually a bit of DIY. I love doing DIY, whatever it is to help you, you've got to be selfish and say, this time is for me. Yeah. Because if it doesn't, as JP says, you'll burn yourself out. You can't fill from it, an empty sack can't stand. Trying to kind of way. Yeah, definitely.
Keith. Any advice for someone that's
Yeah.
under pressure?
Yeah, well, as going back, one of my, he was probably the best chap I ever worked for back when I was in Joe Duffy's. Chap by the name of Mark Bradley. He said to me, I was flat out working. I was working a part-time job at the time, and everything was work. I wasn't even working for myself at this time, so the pressure was far less. But he seen that it was getting on top of me, and he said to me, "Have you got anything that you do for you?" And at the time, I didn't really, other than out for a few points. And he said, maybe you want to give yourself a target. Give yourself something to do. So, if you work your 50 hours a week, you're doing that to do this. And in recent years there, I've taken up racing, right? I race down in Mondale, just Fiesta Z-Tex. I'm absolutely fucking brutal, right? Brutal. But the car looks great. Yeah. I go down to the shed, build a car, do whatever I have to do. Again, it's sad that I actually go cars after cars. It's all I do is cars, not into football or anything like that. But yeah. But you get out, and then you get out on the racetrack, and it's all you're concentrating on is the fella behind you, the fella in front of you, and the next corner. And work doesn't come into it. Nothing comes into it, and it is good just to have that out. You know what I mean? I think it's time for yourself, and there's various million different ways of doing it. But I do think that it's very, very important because as a business owner, as we all know, you can just get sucked in, and if you're taking your 4 hours in a week, all of a sudden. I'll do it 2 hours this week because everything else is, but you have to keep it, and you're right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and look, so the only thing and advice I could give anyone that is running a business, and it doesn't have to be mechanics, is not only, as you used to three, you said, take time for yourselves, but definitely worth looking into if you find you've any of the traits which can be associated with any of the abbreviations, ADD, ADHD, dyslexic functions, anything like that at all. And a lot of men I know actually have them and are afraid to even didn't know they have them, are afraid to admit it. But you see, when you actually figure out how your own brain works and the people around you realize how it works, all of a sudden them wee things don't niggle at them. They're not a problem anymore. Larr, you want to be there?
Saying to finish this whole thing on a positive of the trade.
From the trade. So look, again, thanks so much, Keith, for coming up today, for having a chat with us. Larr, thank you so much. JP, you've come up from Cork, and John is standing behind the camera, John Hyland. Thank you so much to everyone. So again, we're delighted to be able to bring all this information today. We've quite a bit of information we've gone. We're after recording for just over 3 hours. We're trying to get wrapped up now because we've only John booked for 3, so we're in trouble now. But yeah, the message today, Dave, you mean?
It was a positive from the trade.
Positive from the trade.
The trade has a positive effect on you from the last 20 odd years.
The positive effect this trade, there is no other job that I could be doing now that has given me personally and my family what it has. There's no other job that would allow me the time with my family. There was no other trade that would build me the house that I have. There was not only no trade, there's no other job. So this trade has been very good to me. It has introduced me to some great people. And if you were to ask me to do it all again, definitely.
Keto.
Yeah, absolutely. Very similar to Sean. I have a great quality of life now. Do you know what I mean? I didn't just come though. It was, I had to get out, strive, work every day. It didn't just land in my lap. But yeah, I have a super quality of life. Now trying to get the work-life balance right with the hours and stuff like that. Again, there's other certain jobs that wouldn't. And to be honest, I as much as I give out about it on a daily basis to my customers, my staff, my missus and everyone else, I do love the motor trade. I actually do love it. It can be the biggest pain in my ass some days, most days. But the bottom line, I wouldn't be doing it 22 years later if I didn't love it.
Yeah. JP. To give us something good to go on.
For someone that came into the trade late on, I'm delighted I did. I absolutely love it. I've met a network of people in this trade, some of them here and some of them across the world that I wouldn't have met otherwise. I love what we've built in our little workshop in Little Island. I love our team. I'm passionate about that. Whenever we're leaving, everyone's fist pumping each other, and we're happy to see each other in the morning. And I'm delighted that we've created that, and I love to see that spreading and spreading. So yeah, I couldn't see myself anywhere else right now.
Larr?
Absolutely love it. I'm 44 now. I first started in the car garage when I was 14 on a Saturday morning. It's 30 years, and I love it more now than I ever did. I love the ability that it's given me to get educated around the world in the industry.
But it's also giving you the chance to start another business.
Another business, yeah. Well, obviously the parking, the airport parking. in Dublin Airport. That's been incredibly successful. It's going a year there now. Thanks to you, actually. I might give you fair enough. I did ring you. I don't know if you know, but Sean used our service back in January this year. And that night he posted, he came back, he posted. And that night we got 12 bookings that night from Sean. I rang him the next day and said, Sean, he says, you're doing an awful lot of stuff on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Are these other people looking after you that you're promoting? He says, no one gives me any feedback. I said, I'm telling you now, Sean, I went again 12 bookings in one night because of your thing. And I said to him, make sure whoever you are promoting looks after you. Because there's...
So did you give Sean a percentage of the 12 bookings then?
He did, yeah. Every time he flies out, there's a pay now.
There's a Sean tax on the bottom of all of them.
But Sean has built up over the number of years a great credibility in his name on whether people like him, hate him, or anywhere in between, love him, just whatever. He has built up a great credibility in your name, in your brand. And that's a positive. You know, it's a positive for new people coming into the industry that should look at that this guy who
started off changing oil filters.
Yeah, who none of us were gifted at this industry. None of us, you know, it's all blood, sweat and tears. That's where the mental health thing comes in. That's where we've talked about peaks, and some of this conversation has gone up and down, and sometimes it rants in it. But you have created a brand in a very short period of time that this industry has given you the ability to do, along with your nuance of about a little bit of social media. And that's a credit to yourself. And I'd say to you, don't let anybody get up on your back in the future. Take it for granted.
Yeah, right, we'll wrap it on that. Again, thanks everyone so much for watching this. We hope we have brought insight, advice, and some entertainment to your weekend or to your viewing. And as always, if you like this, please do share it, subscribe, like it, all the above, because it really does help. And if this works, of course, there'll definitely be more. We know, look, I'm sure you guys would love a chat again. There's other people who'd love to get in around the table and have a chat. So if this works out, we'd love to bring you more. So thanks so much. Thanks, Keith, JP, Larr.
I enjoyed that.
We'll get a bigger table next time.
Good luck.